Hello everyone, I'm back with our topic using materials. We are continuing. We lastly looked at the natural materials. We talked about them very well. For now, we want to look at the breakdown of this lesson. We are going to we are going to define synthetic materials, what synthetic materials are. We are going to give examples of synthetic materials. We are going to give advantages of the synthetic materials, and we are also going to give the disadvantages of the synthetic materials. And then we shall continue with other parts of the using materials in the next videos. Members, as you hear the word synthetic, materials, if you don't want to call it synthetic, you call it artificial materials. What are synthetic materials? We know things that are artificial. They are the ones that are man-made things. Now, the case we are looking at materials. The synthetic materials are simply man-made materials. And these man-made materials are always laboratory processed. Man or the people make them from laboratories. They process them. So we shall define these materials as materials that are laboratory processed. They are laboratory processed materials. In short terms, they are man-made materials. They are the ones we call the synthetic materials. We have a number of examples of such materials made by man. We can start with the polymers. They are polymers that are made by man, that are laboratory processed. We can give the examples of plastics. The plastics are made by man. They're laboratory processed. You think of the basin you use at home. Think of your phone covers, the plastic ones. You think of your chairs, the plastic chairs, and so many others. The plates you use home. We have we have fibers that are synthetic, that are man-made. And these, we have the likes of nylon. Nylon is man-made, it is laboratory processed. We know very many products are made out of nylon. And they are some of the strongest materials we use to make clothes. We've ever heard about composites, a mixture of more than one substance of different kind. We can give the likes of paint. Paint is a synthetic composite. We can give the likes of mortar for the builders, the mansions. We can give the examples of concrete. All of these They are examples of synthetic materials. We can give the likes of ceramics, products made out of clay. There are very many products made out of clay. We very well know. We have the floor tiles, the floor and roof tiles. We have the max pans. They are all made out of the bricks and blocks that are made out of clay. We have the plates. All of those are ceramics, the vases, and so many other things. We have the likes of metals. We classify metals as synthetic materials because as in their natural form, they are not pure. They are purified by man through laboratory processes. So we classify metals as synthetic materials for that reason. Their purification process is made by man. We have the likes of copper. We very well know that copper is useful in our daily life. Iron. We have the likes of aluminum and so many others. We are giving examples, the commonest examples of these synthetic materials. We have the likes of alloys. The alloys, which are components of mixtures of they are metallic substances made up of two or more metals or a metal and a non-metal. The alloys. We can give the likes of bronze. The examples of alloys. We have bronze. We very well know this. We've ever heard of steel. We have ever heard of brass. We have ever heard about duralumine. We have ever heard about the copper coinage. And many other examples of alloys. All these are laboratory processed. They are man-made materials. They have advantages. They have advantages to why they are used or more preferred for use than the natural ones. So some of these include the synthetic materials are more resistant to corrosion. They are less affected by chemicals and adverse or extreme weather conditions. So you can take that as a point. By chemicals, we are looking at the synthetic materials. Since they are laboratory processed, we can produce any number we want. They are laboratory processed. So that means they are readily available because they can be synthesized anytime. Producing them in any number we want makes these synthetic materials cheap because even the production process takes less time and less costly. That's why you can find a plastic cup of 500. So they are less costly since the production process takes less time and is less costly. Uh, Three, they are readily available. Imagine you want a plastic cup. You can get it anywhere because its manufacture can't even take 5 minutes. That's why it is readily available. You can process it anytime you want. So they are readily available since they can be processed anytime and in any amount. They can be produced in any amount and any time. It makes these synthetic materials readily available. Imagine you want to make shoes out of, let's say, drums, out of a hide of a porcupine. How many porcupines have you ever made since you were born? When will you be able to collect hides of 30 porcupines to make 20 drums? So the natural ones are not readily available because their existence is determined by the source or the availability of the source. But these ones can be processed anytime and in minimal time. These ones, the synthetic ones, they have many advantages. You can't even finish them. The synthetic ones are non-biodegradable. This makes them not easily decomposed or destroyed by organisms. They are non-biodegradable, hence can not be easily be destroyed by organisms. Still, even time cannot decompose it because they are non-biodegradable. You can check the piece of cloth you threw in your banana plantation 20 years ago. You will find it. Only the color will change, but for it to remain, because they are non-biodegradable. Not time, not organisms can decompose them, since they are non-biodegradable. 5, their quality can be modified to the desired ones during the production process. Since it's you who make them, since they are laboratory processed, in the laboratory you can modify anything you want, any quality you want on the product. You can change color. That's why we say, we always see green cups, red cups, pink cups, and so on. The color can be modified, can be changed during the process, the production process. So this is an advantage because you can modify any character, any property of these materials. There are so many other advantages. Let's take those 5 for now and look at the disadvantages. Of the synthetic materials. But before you continue, don't forget to subscribe. Touch that button or that bell button on your screen For more updates, I'm told online, invite more of your friends. They will learn more. Um, some of the disadvantages of these synthetic materials, we've seen this non-biodegradable issue can also be a disadvantage. It is a very big disadvantage. They cannot be decomposed. This means that when they are disposed or released into places like the soils and the water bodies, they pollute the water. They lower the quality of the soil or the water. And this sometimes, almost times, lead to death of the organisms that survive in the water or in the soil. We very well know when you dump a cavella or a polythene bag, it is a plastic material, it will not let water to pass through it into the deep layers of the soil. You are lowering the quality of water, of the soil. Water is one of the components of the fertile soil. So that is a disadvantage. Being non-biodegradable, when poorly disposed, they permanently lower the quality of water and soil. Most of these, the synthetic ones, let's take some examples like paint. Paint is made out of chemicals. When these ones are dissolved in the water, they will always change the pH of the soil and the water. The change of the pH and the pH of the soil and the water will lead to death of most of these organisms that survive in the water and the soil. So the soluble ones, the soluble synthetic materials dissolve in the water to change the pH of the soil and the water. This is a very big disadvantage that it leads to death of number of these organisms that survive in those two habitats. So the change in pH can lead to death of organisms. So we are mentioning some of the disadvantages. We very well know that some of these ones can only be actually disposed, they can only be burned such that they cannot pollute the environment. But the burning process, for example, the polythene bags produce a lot of smoke. That smoke that is produced is toxic, and when in the air, it leads to suffocation, formation of acidic rains, and so many other things. So that is also another disadvantage. So the third disadvantage, when burnt, the plastic and the other synthetic materials produce smoke that toxify the air, lowering its quality. Lowering its quality. Remember, we are at London Cuties, Nursery and Primary School, Kasenge. We said it is a recommendable school. It even has a kindergarten. It is first. Your kid will be safe, will not be accessed by anyone. Tight security, that the kid can only be picked by the person who brings him or her. The place is recommendable, and so on. I cannot forget to remind you to subscribe. I remain Chalan, and these are some of the things you should know about the synthetic materials. In the next video, we are coming back to look at a material by a material. We are going to look at one material by one, and we are going to start with the synthetic ones. We shall start with the metals. Thank you.